Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let's talk Modern Warfare 2. Now, of course, this title is not officially confirmed as of right now. Activision and Infinity Ward and Call of Duty have not come out and said, hey, MW2 is coming this fall, but we've had plenty of leaks and rumors already that we've talked about in previous videos regarding the next Call of Duty game. Let's be real here. Following MW 2019, which keep in mind is the most successful single Call of Duty multiplayer based game ever, outside of Warzone obviously, it would not make sense to do anything but MW2 for Infinity Ward's next title, right? And today I wanted to sit down and discuss some new information we have on MW2 that should really spark some hope in the community as to why this game is going to be probably one of the best CODs that we've ever seen, and at least far more up to standard than what we've seen recently. So as we go over it all today, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. Would be seriously appreciated. Let's try and aim for 2,000 likes on this video. And of course, if you're new to the channel or if you have not already subscribed, this is the best place to be for all things going on in COD each and every single day. I'm always covering the latest news, updates, loadouts, tips. It's all right here. So feel free to subscribe, as right around 58% of viewers watching are not already subbed to the channel. Now, like I just said, of course, when we look back at it, between the last 3 years, MW 2019, Cold War, Vanguard, it's been quite the different story every single year. MW 2019, as mentioned, is the most successful Call of Duty game ever, outside of like Warzone and COD Mobile. The most successful premium title, I should say. It's sold over 30 million copies. And the second and third best selling would be Modern Warfare 3, then Black Ops. Those each have over 26 million copies sold. But without a doubt, it is very clear, statistically proven, that MW 2019 is the standard for what a Call of Duty game should be when it comes to what's going to sell, what's going to be well received, and what the player base and the audience is going to like, right? So we had that game. It pretty much revived COD, let's be honest here. You know, leading up to MW 2019, sure, Black Ops 4 was all right. We had the advanced movement stuff. That was, you know, some people liked it, some people didn't. But MW 2019 really revitalized everything and brought a lot of players back and also introduced a lot of players to COD for the first time. It was massively successful. Then they followed it up with Cold War. And let's be honest, Cold War was, well, let's just say it was not it, to say the least, right? And then Vanguard, well, it had a solid launch. As we know right now, it's really not in the greatest state. There's a lot of bugs, a lot of issues with the game. Fundamentally and at its core, I don't think Vanguard is really all that bad. I actually enjoy the multiplayer quite a bit. I've spent a lot of time grinding it, but there's just issues that in that game that shouldn't exist for being a AAA title, in my opinion. But you also got to factor in, Modern Warfare 2019 had a perfect developmental cycle where they were allowed to do a lot of research, put a lot of time and effort into the game, and it launched with reason as one of the most successful games ever. Cold War, on the other hand, was kind of a catastrophe leading up to launch. It initially was supposed to be a Sledgehammer title, however, that was scrapped like halfway through development, so then Treyarch had to take over, building partially off what Sledgehammer had already created, and their dev cycle was cut down immensely, and they also had to do it in the midst of everything going on in the world from home and just in really inconvenient circumstances. And then Sledgehammer basically had to reboot and start everything from scratch for Vanguard, again with a cut down developmental cycle. So Cold War and Vanguard each really weren't given justice when it comes to what they should have been because they were rushed products. And I would say it kind of shows with both launches and how they've been handled up until this point. They just didn't have that full 3-year developmental cycle that the games should have had to really polish them and make them complete products. MW 2019 did, though, and sort of segueing into the main conversation for today, MW 2022, or presumably MW2, Modern Warfare 2, the sequel to MW 2019, is going to be the first COD since MW 2019 that has actually had time to be created. When MW 2019 was, in its main year, they were already beginning work. Apparently before that, as we'll see here in a few moments when we get into some other information that was recently revealed, this game has been being produced and developed for quite some time, and it should be launching with a lot higher expectations than what we've had previously. And obviously, if we're following up MW 2019, it's going to have, a standard set. The bar is set because of that game. The sequel has got to bring it, right? But it's interesting to sort of talk about this because as I was planning out this video, some news actually came out via Tom Henderson that goes even more in depth as to why MW 2022 should be arguably one of the greatest CODs ever and definitely meet expectations at launch. So we go over on Twitter, Tom Henderson, who, as we know, has a very, very credible track record for insider information in the COD community, especially. He was talking with the Ghost of Hope. The Ghost of Hope initially said 3-year dev cycles don't mean the game is going to be any less buggy. People should remember that come next November. So I think he's sort of alluding to, hey, don't be surprised if MW 2022 is buggy. I don't fully agree with that statement, but it's not too relevant. It just sparks the conversation. Tom replies with, for MW2, not saying it won't be buggy, but this will be the first Call of Duty title that actually had a true 3-year developmental cycle with no hiccups / change of direction. So there's a bit of hope. Only big hurdle right now is QA, which I hope gets resolved quickly. So sort of reiterating the same thing that I just talked about here. The Ghost of Hope then basically says, didn't development start later in like spring of 2020? And Tom responds with, I don't think so. I know the DMZ mode, for example, has been in some form of development since early 2018. So technically 4.5 years by the time it releases. So that in and of itself is pretty crazy that just a single mode of MW 2022 would be in development for that long. He then also follows that up by saying, I can't speak for everyone at Infinity Ward, but those who I've spoken to are actually very positive about the game itself, content, the direction, etc., which I would say is very unusual, as usually leaks come from malicious intent for whatever reason, which I would say is partially true. It always seems like the leaks that we hear about Call of Duty early is how, oh, this is going wrong, the development is in a state of chaos, so on and so forth. That does not seem to be the case already, which is very good news. But then we go back to the initial conversation of just part of this game has apparently been in development for over 4 years, or will be over 4 years at the time that this game actually launches, presumably this fall around November or December. And then that, like I said, is just a part of the game. That's the whole DMZ mode, which is basically like an Escape from Tarkov-esque mode. We've talked about that in previous videos in more detail. But you also then have the campaign, you've got multiplayer, potentially a fourth mode, maybe it's Spec Ops or Zombies or something else. That is very, very good news that if they're just focusing on one mode for that long, everything else is going to be sort of in that same cycle. And that to me just, you know, sort of screams, this is finally going to be a finished and polished COD at launch. It's going to be different from the past 2 years where things did not launch smoothly. They weren't super well received, despite I feel like Vanguard actually being a pretty solid COD when it comes down to it. MW 2022, I feel like, as I said earlier, has high expectations and people expect a lot of it, and it seems like it's going to follow through with that. And I truly believe this is going to be a new icon Call of Duty, and one that we really see, oh, this is what we've been waiting for ever since MW 2019. You know, even just looking at the Warzone side of things, you have the Modern Warfare era of Warzone, which I loved. I felt like it was phenomenal, not just because the game played nice and it was fresh and fun, the detail that went into things. We had actual like large scale Easter eggs with the bunkers and all the Russian codes and everything going on there. We had the intel, which I so dearly miss. I love doing the intel, where we got to go in and figure out the whole story of Warzone. It just seemed like there was an extra level of effort put into Warzone there versus the Cold War era where the map really wasn't even all that new. It was more so of a reskin. We had a couple of Easter eggs here and there like on Rebirth Island and whatnot, but it was nothing to the scale that we saw from Infinity Ward. And then so far this year, even with the new map, it doesn't seem like we have too much going on yet, but obviously we're still extremely early on into the life cycle for this one. So I'm sure there's a lot that we've yet to discover or a lot yet to be added in, but I still think the same sort of idea lies there. The Infinity Ward era of Warzone, when they were in full control and they had everything written out, was just next level. Not to say that Cold War and Vanguard so far have been bad, because I still have enjoyed Warzone a ton. It's just not up to the same standard that I'd like to see it at. But I feel like that's going to change with MW 2022 based off the information that we have, and also based off the fact that the game is just going to have a full, true 3-year developmental cycle, or maybe even more, depending on if what Tom here is saying is actually true, which, like I said earlier, he's very credible when it comes to insider information. So I feel like while things are definitely in a rough spot right now between Warzone, between Vanguard multiplayer, obviously it's going to get better over time. Looking forward to the future, it seems like things are going to be very solid, and I could see MW 2022 really breaking records, maybe even topping MW 2019. You gotta follow it up with something strong, and as of right now, going off the information that we do have apparent to us, it seems like it's headed in that direction. So good news in that regard, definitely a step up from what we've seen recently. But with all that being said, that is effectively going to wrap things up for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, or hopefully you're excited for MW 2022 like me. If you are, or if you did enjoy the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. It would be seriously appreciated. And of course, if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, this is the best place to be for everything going on in COD, between news, updates, leaks, loadouts, tips. It's all right here. So feel free to subscribe with your notifications turned on. As always, if you want to check out any of my partners, be sure to use code IMMORTAL for a discount on all Scuff, G Fuel, Gamer Advantage, and Control Freak products. And the links for all those can be found down in the description below. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.